Think about the sheer convenience of that mental health facility in France. It is the perfect isolated environment to execute a flawless identity swap. Anna was vulnerable, struggling, and far away from the protective eyes of her family and allies. I believe Alex orchestrated this entire scenario from the shadows. Instead of emerging immediately after her supposed death, she waited. She built a network of dark alliances, manipulated the right people, and ensured that the real Anna was quietly institutionalized in a foreign country. Imagine the chilling reality of the true Anna being locked away in a sterile, heavily guarded room, completely cut off from the outside world, heavily medicated, and unable to scream for help. Meanwhile, Alex simply slips into her clothes, adopts her mannerisms, and boards a flight back home, ready to steal an entire existence. Let us anchor this theory with a concrete example: those relentless, terrifying visions. We are being led to believe that these are trauma-induced hallucinations of a nephew who caused unparalleled chaos. But why would Anna hallucinate Peter in such a profoundly emotional, visceral way? If we view these scenes through the lens of my theory, the entire context shifts dramatically. Alex is not seeing a monster. She is seeing her biological son. The man who died was her flesh and blood. What everyone is casually dismissing as a psychological break or a symptom of post-traumatic stress might actually be the agonizing, raw grief of a mother who never got to say goodbye. It is a mother's heart bleeding out in plain sight, disguised as a hallucination. If you ask me, this provides the ultimate, most devastating motive for such a complex revenge scheme. Alex harbors a resentment so toxic, so profoundly deep, that it transcends ordinary sibling rivalry. In her twisted, grieving mind, she does not just blame her sister for a tragic accident, she views her as the deliberate executioner of her only child. She replays those final agonizing moments over and over, convincing herself that if the emergency medical personnel had been called just a fraction of a minute sooner, Peter would still be breathing. She believes Anna stood by and watched her boy die, choosing to let the clock run out on his life. That kind of hatred does not just fade away, it ferments. It transforms into a singular, obsessive goal to not only ruin a reputation, but to completely obliterate an identity. Pay close attention to the micro expressions during these so-called hallucinations. When the vision of Peter appears, there is a flicker of something deeply vulnerable in her eyes before the defensive walls come up. It is not just fear or regret, it is a desperate, longing connection. A true aunt, no matter how guilty she felt about the circumstances of his death, would not react with such underlying maternal anguish. The way she looks at the vision, the specific physical reactions she exhibits, the almost protective posture she assumes, it all screams of a mother confronting the ghost of her child. The writers are leaving breadcrumbs right in front of us, masking a mother's devastating sorrow behind a convenient medical diagnosis. But wait, let me step back and argue with myself for a second. Let us play devil's advocate, because we have to consider all the angles here. What if I am looking at this entirely wrong? What if these are not hallucinations born of grief? What if the medical diagnosis is a lie, but for a completely different reason? Is it possible that Peter never actually died? We all know how easily death certificates are forged and how quickly bodies can be swapped in the morgue. If Peter is still alive, breathing, and walking the earth, then the entire dynamic of these scenes changes in a horrifying way. If Peter is alive, then what we are witnessing are not visions at all. They are secret, clandestine meetings between a mother and her son happening right under everyone's noses. This would explain why there are moments when she seems to be reacting to a physical presence, someone occupying real space in the room, rather than a projection of her mind. It would mean Alex and Peter are working in tandem, a lethal mother-son duo orchestrating the downfall of their enemies from within the very heart of the town. This possibility is almost more terrifying than the grief theory, because it means the threat is not just psychological. It is physical, imminent, and highly organized. Now, we must bring a crucial player into this intricate web. We cannot ignore the man who knows her better than anyone else, the master spy who has spent a lifetime reading people and uncovering secrets. Valentine recently traveled to Europe, making secretive calls under an alias, and has spent significant time in her presence since her return. If anyone is going to spot a crack in the imposter's armor, it is him. I firmly believe Valentine already knows. He has looked into her eyes, heard the subtle shifts in her tone, and recognized that the soul looking back at him does not belong to the woman he loves. He knows he is dealing with Alex. So, why the silence? Why hasn't Valentine kicked down the doors of the police station and exposed this massive fraud to the world? Because this is where the genius of his character truly shines. He is a tactician playing a high-stakes game of chess against a grandmaster. He knows that if he exposes Alex right now, without knowing the exact location of the real Anna, he signs her death warrant. Alex, or her potentially alive son, would simply eliminate the captive in France and vanish into the wind. Valentine is forced to endure the psychological torture of pretending to be fooled, smiling at the woman who stole his love's life, all while desperately working behind the scenes to locate the hidden facility. He is biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, rescue the real hero, and burn the imposter's world to the ground. This brings us to the most alarming aspect of this entire situation, the true endgame of this sinister plot. Alex is not just content with stealing a life, she is actively seizing power. By returning and aggressively reclaiming the position of police chief, she is placing herself at the very top of the local law enforcement hierarchy. This is a masterstroke of villainy. She is taking control of the very institution that could investigate her, effectively neutralizing any threat of discovery from the authorities. Look at the tragic irony of the loyal detective stepping down to hand her the badge. Dante trusts her implicitly. He views Anna as a mentor, a paragon of justice, and a completely reliable leader. He is willingly handing over the keys to the kingdom to a wolf in sheep's clothing. With that badge, Alex has unprecedented access to police databases, evidence lockers, and ongoing investigation. She can easily manipulate crime scenes, bury any clues that might lead back to her or Peter, and strategically target anyone who gets too close to the truth. She can weaponize the police force against the real Anna's closest allies, systematically destroying their lives under the guise of official police business. It is a terrifying abuse of power that no one sees coming. We also have to pause and consider the unimaginable psychological torture being inflicted on the real Anna. Imagine being trapped in a stark, heavily secured room in a foreign clinic, entirely stripped of your freedom and your voice. She knows exactly what her twin is doing. She knows that her face, her name, and her legacy are being used to commit unspeakable acts and manipulate the people she loves most. Every single day she spends in that cell is a day her imposter entrenches herself deeper into her life. The sheer despair and helplessness of that situation are heartbreaking. She is fighting a silent, invisible war for her own existence, praying that someone, anyone, will look closely enough to realize the truth before it is too late. The imposter's manipulation extends far beyond just the police force. We have seen Alex interacting with various town residents, offering advice, playing the supportive friend, and seamlessly integrating herself into the social fabric. She even used Willow to help clear her legal troubles, ensuring a smooth transition back into power. It is a chilling display of sociopathic charm. She is using the goodwill and trust that her sister spent decades building, spending it like stolen currency to buy herself absolute security. Every hug, every shared cup of coffee, every reassuring smile is a calculated lie designed to keep everyone blind to the monster hiding in plain sight. The concept of twins has always been a powerful narrative tool in our genre, representing the ultimate duality of human nature. But this storyline takes it to a profoundly dark and disturbing level. It is not just about a case of mistaken identity. It is about the literal theft of a soul. Alex is not just pretending to be Anna. She is actively trying to erase her, to overwrite her history with a twisted, vengeful narrative. It explores the terrifying idea that the people we think we know best, the faces we trust completely, could be harboring unfathomable darkness. It forces us as viewers to question every interaction, every motive, and every tear shed on screen. As we watch these episodes unfold, the tension is becoming incredibly palpable. We are witnessing a high wire act where a single misstep could send the entire facade crashing down. There is a ticking clock echoing in the background of every scene. How long can Alex maintain this flawless performance before the cracks become too large to hide? How long can Valentine play his dangerous game of deception before the imposter realizes he is onto her? The stakes have never been higher, because this is not just about stopping a criminal. It is about rescuing an identity from the brink of total annihilation. This is just my theory, guys. Maybe I am reading too much into the shadows. Or maybe, just maybe, I am seeing the exact picture the writers are slowly painting for us. If this massive twist actually comes to fruition, it will undoubtedly go down as one of the most brilliant, heart-stopping reveals in the history of the show. The real Anna is going to have to fight the battle of her life to reclaim her name, her badge, and her family. But until that day comes, we are left to watch in suspense, wondering just how much damage Alex will inflict before the truth finally shatters the illusion. The story is far from over, and I have a feeling the worst is yet to come.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.